From the Buddhist perspective, the understanding of the very basic teachings of the Buddha with regards to karma, rebirth, and the Four Noble Truths, they play an important part in understanding the true purpose and meaning of our lives. We all have come to this world with some purpose. Some of us may be aware of this purpose, but many are not really aware of our true purpose in this life. And some of us have come to this world to do something, to be of service to a small group of people, sometimes only one or two people. Like some of you, if you look around and you realize that some parents have got one or two children, and they spend their whole life to look after those two children, a good part of their life, right? That would appear to be their purpose in life, right? But some have come to this world with a greater sense of purpose to help more sentient beings. Some have come to help even all sentient beings. But there are also some who have come to this world with not so worthwhile purpose. They have come to take revenge. And that is why, in order to understand our true purpose, what we have come to this world for, we have to have a little bit of understanding about the law of karma, the law of rebirth, that this is not our only lifetime. We have lived in the past, and in the past we have made many promises, we have made all kinds of aspirations. Sometimes you can call it vows. And those vows that we have made, those aspirations, those promises that we have made in the past, they will still follow us from life to life. Especially those aspirations, those vows that we have made strongly in the past. Somehow we will be reminded of, and we have to fulfill those vows. But when we are born in this lifetime, we have made some vows in the past, something that we really want to do in this lifetime, something which we were not able to accomplish in the past. But when we are born in this lifetime, from very young days, we are exposed to all kinds of distractions. All these distractions, because of these distractions, we forget. We are not able to connect to our past aspirations. We totally lose track of what we really came here for, right? But still, there are some who deep down in their hearts, they have some idea why they come. And when they meet certain people, when they go to certain place, certain things may just trigger off and they may remember why. Now, some children are born into certain family with a very specific purpose. Some of them have come to help their parents. There is a very clear instance of a story of how a little girl, she was not all that little, she was about 15 years old. This girl is from Sri Lanka. And when she was regressed, a psychiatrist had regressed, hypnotized her, and she was able to recall her past life. And in her past life, she said, she had been a deva, she had been in a celestial realm. Then the question that posed to her was, if you are born as a deva, why is it that in this lifetime you are born into a very poor, very miserable family because the parents are very poor? And then she said, I came to help my mother. She has been my mother at such a place. That means to say, what she's trying to say is that her present mother has also been her mother in another lifetime, in a previous lifetime, at such a place. And because of that, she wanted to help her mother. So she has come to this world to help the mother. Yeah. That is why some children have really come to this world to help parents. But some children, in the past, when they lost their loved ones, either they lose their parents, or sometimes between husband and wife, right? Husband lost their wife, wife lost their husband, right? When they come back to this world, somehow they still go on looking for. Although they may not know exactly who they are, but deep down in their hearts, they are looking for someone. But when their minds are distracted, they cannot connect. They do not know those things. That is why many children, those who have come, those who do not know their true purpose, because of distraction, they get very distracted. They get very restless. Deep down in their hearts, they are looking for something that they cannot find. They will become very unhappy. Yeah. I see these things. Students in the universities, right? Even in their final years in the university, when they study, if you ask them what do you really want to do, what is their real purpose, they don't have much of an idea also. They would just say that they have come to study such as a course, and but very often they have enrolled for that course either because they have been influenced by their parents or influenced by the peer groups. Sometimes, and very often so, the course, the study in which they are enrolled may not be so suitable for them. They may not really like it very much in their hearts. If you take, if a person has been in the past for many lifetimes, if this person has been leading a farming way of life, have been a farmer, right? And then he's born now. And you expect this child to do an IT course, a course in information technology. This child will have problem. Not that he or she cannot do it. This child will have to develop new skills, but with greater tension, greater stress, tension. Because there are certain skills that this child already possesses from life to life that is not being able to tap. Therefore, this child may not be able to fulfill his or her real potentials, right? That is why when we consider the law of karma, especially those parents must understand, by observing very carefully their children, especially in the early years, the early childhood years. Because in the very early childhood years, the child will show their potentials, what they really can do. Yeah. If you observe very carefully little children with what they play, sometimes they don't like books. They love to go out in the garden and just play outside in the garden. Some children don't want to go out. They like books. And you give them books, they will look. I have seen some children, they will take very big books and they will turn on the pages, right? As if they can read them, but they can't. This is their habit, the past, right? When you see such children having that kind of aptitude, that kind of these things, then parents should pave the way for them to develop that skills, the academic skills. But if children from very young days show that they don't have this kind of academic skills, right? Some of them are very practical in other things, right? So, what they are good at, if we can tap their potentials, they will find this life they can fulfill, they can develop to their full potentials in life. After all, whatever profession, whatever work they do, a job is a job. It is a means of livelihood because there are higher purpose in our life. If we ask this question, what do you really want in your life? Any sensible person will say they want happiness, isn't it? But what is happiness? The concepts of happiness. Many people have the idea happiness means the pleasures that they get in life, some kind of thrills, excitement, that is happiness. And most people can only understand happiness in terms of the worldly kind of things, the material things that gives them happiness, the happiness that they get through their eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, and the body. Not many can understand that there is another kind of happiness. The happiness that does not depend on material things. And that is the peace, the quietness within oneself, the peace of mind. So what happens is this: when a child goes on to seek happiness, we all want happiness. You try various means to get happiness, right? If you ask yourself, what is it that gives you meaning? What is it that gives you the kind of happiness when you are 5-year-old? When you are 5-year-old, right? What is it that you look forward to? Some toys to play, some computer games, yeah? Then that gives you something, right, to live for. But 10 years later, when you're 15-year-old, what is it that you look for? Right? Those toys you put aside. You may be looking for some real toys, yeah, and some other things for your interests. Then 10 years later, at 25 years old, again, you'll be looking for something else, right? This is where people go on looking for something. They're looking for something to please themselves, something that gives them happiness. But when they get it, they realize that that is not really what they want. Because the real happiness is not found in all these material things outside. The real happiness is found through the cultivation of one's mind, through the peace, through a spiritual path, to moving in the spiritual path, the real spiritual happiness. Because to the Buddhists, the real happiness is the ultimate bliss of Nibbana. Nibbanang paramang sukham. Nibbana is the highest bliss, right? As long as we are not able, as long as we have not reached that ultimate goal, we will always be looking for something, meaning. And after we get something, we will see the unsatisfactoriness of it. But if we realize that that is the goal, that is the ultimate goal, there is also the more immediate goals or purpose that we need to do. There's something that we need to fulfill before we can pursue the highest goal in life. That is why we have more immediate purpose in life. There is the immediate purpose and there's the ultimate purpose in life. We say that the ultimate purpose eventually is to put an end to all sufferings, is to liberate ourselves from the cycle of birth and death. But before we can reach that highest goal, there are certain worldly duties, certain worldly responsibilities that we need to fulfill. Those of you who have children, you have to fulfill your worldly duties towards your children. Those who have parents, right? You also have to fulfill your duties towards them, right? In so fulfilling your worldly duties and responsibilities, right? You as you make the aspiration, you will find opportunities eventually to cultivate and to develop and attain to your highest goal. Yeah. So, your immediate goals, really, when we talk about the purpose of life, right? You would have to know first what are your immediate purpose, what you need to do now, right? But you also have to have an idea that this immediate goal must eventually lead on to something higher, and there is a final goal. Because without this idea, without this understanding, as long as we do not have the aspiration for the ultimate goal, we still come back again and again in this cycle of birth and death, right? Not knowing, not realizing what we really need. So, how do we know what our purpose is? There are a few ways that we can realize our purpose. One is through the cultivation of mind, through through clearing the mind little by little of all the distractions, all the things that distracts us. When the mind becomes clearer, we begin to see our true purpose. Some people may be visual in the sense that when their minds are clear, they can see. They can see what they have been in their past, and they can link up, and therefore they know what they want in this lifetime. Because some of them know very clearly, when they link up, they know that they have to do something, what they have to do. Sometimes it is to help a few people, sometimes even to help one person, right? Don't forget, in the case of the Buddha, in his last birth, he had so many disciples. And some of his chief disciples, like the Venerable Sariputta, Moggallana, Ananda, Kashyapa, they all have been together from life to life, from many lifetimes. Yeah. So, that is where they aspire from life to life to be together, to learn, to help one another, and to pave the way for one another's enlightenment. That is hard. These things. So, those who can see, those whose minds are clear and they can see this path, then all their energies are focused. They will be more contented in what they do. Right? The other way that we can see our path is if we have the faith and confidence. If we have the faith and confidence in the Triple Gem, this is where we connect. We seek refuge in the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And then we seek the blessings, the guidance, the protection to show us the path, to show us our true purpose. Sometimes when we share merits with the Devas, Bodhisattvas, right? These beings, the higher beings, they can also guide us to see our purpose, to wake us up, to see our purpose. So, these are the ways of how we can, little by little, clarify our mind, make our mind clear, and see our purpose in life. Basically, as Buddhists, our true purpose in life is to put an end to suffering. And that is what the basic teachings of the Buddha. When one understands the basic teachings, one sees that as long as there is birth in one form or another, where there is birth, there is the process of decay and old age, sickness and death, and all the accompanying sufferings, unsatisfactoriness of life, the separation from loved ones, association with people whom we do not like, or unpleasant situations, unfulfilled desires. Right? These, when we start to see the unsatisfactory conditions of life, then we ask this question, what do we want in life? Any sensible person will want to be free from suffering. That is hard. The understanding of the Four Noble Truths can establish in us that sense of purpose in life. The next question we ask ourselves is, how do we end suffering? How do we put an end to suffering? And that answer also lies in these Four Noble Truths. The basic teachings that there is suffering, there is the cause of suffering, there is the end of suffering, and there is the path, the way to end suffering. And the way to end suffering lies in what we call the Noble Eightfold Path, through the cultivation of right understanding, right thought, right speech, right body actions, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. These Noble Eightfold Paths, they function. Their purpose is to purify the mind from the tendencies of greed, of hatred, and delusion. So, even though you may not know now what your true purpose is, whatever situation that you are in, whatever job, whatever work that you do, surely, if you try to apply the Noble Eightfold Path in your life, by cultivating, basically, right thought, speech, and body actions, your mind, little by little, will become clearer. And when the tendencies of greed, hatred, delusion becomes less and less reduced, and that is where your path becomes clearer. You start to see the true meaning and the true purpose of your life. Eventually, it is to put an end to suffering and to help others along the way.